brought to you by oneaauto.com, your source for quality parts and the best service on the internet.
Hi, I'm Mike from 1A Auto. I hope this how-to video helps you out. And next time you need parts for your vehicle, think of oneaauto.com. Thanks.
In this video, we're going to show you how to replace the sway bar end links on this 2008 Dodge Ram. Typically, you want to replace them in pairs, and these are the tools that you're going to need. Raise and support your vehicle. You can do it with jack stands, but in this case we have a lift, so we're going to use the lift. In the front end of the truck, you can see that your sway bar end link is right here. We're going to start by shooting the threads with some rust penetrant so that it makes our whole job a whole lot easier. To remove the sway bar end link, you're actually going to have to rotate the sway bar up, and to do that you have to disconnect the opposite side sway bar end link. If you're going to just be replacing one of the sway bar end links, then you just need to disconnect the bottom of the other side. But if you're going to be replacing both like us, and we recommend replacing both at the same time, you're going to want to lubricate the top and the bottom with the penetrating oil. You'll see that the sway bar end link has a 15mm hex on the bottom side of it so that you can hold it with a wrench. And then on the top, you're going to need a 17mm deep socket and ratchet. The bottom end of the sway bar end link has an 18mm spot for a wrench on it, and you can kind of wedge it in between the wheel. And the bottom side is an 18mm 6-point. And now you can take the nut right off the bottom. We're going to be replacing both of the sway bar end links, but if you're just doing one, you need to disconnect the opposite side, the bottom of it. The 18mm wrench that we were hoping to use didn't fit in this scenario, so we went right to the locking pliers. With the 18mm socket on the bottom, you should be able to loosen it right up. Then you can pop the nut right off the bottom. Now, we need to raise up the sway bar so that we can pull the sway bar end links out. Unfortunately, we just put brand new bushings in here, so the sway bar is really tight and it's tough to push up. So we're going to start by loosening up the sway bar bushing brackets. You don't have to take all the bolts out, we just need to loosen them up so that the sway bar will move a little freer. Now we're going to push the sway bar up on this side so that we can come over here and remove the sway bar end link from the sway bar. We're going to be replacing both of the sway bar end links. So the next thing that we do is rotate the sway bar like this, and you have easier access to this upper nut on the sway bar end link. And you can put a 15mm here, 17mm socket on the top, and loosen it up. This right here is a 1A SSL 00405. This is also an aftermarket piece. It's actually been replaced before on the truck. And you can see that they're obviously very similar. Ours has the new bushings and washers and nuts, along with a grease fitting included. The only difference between these two that I can come up with is these points right here where you put the wrench on to remove them. And it's just 18mm versus 19mm. It's going to fit just like the original one does, and hopefully solve your problem. Get your 1A Auto sway bar end link and take the nut and the washer and the rubber bumper off the top, leaving one rubber bumper and the washer on there. Slide it through your sway bar, and then put the nut on, but leave it really loose so that we can actually slide it down into the control arm later. And we're going to repeat this step on the opposite side. We're now going to spin the sway bar up and set the sway bar end links down through the control arms. And then we'll loosely install the nuts on the bottom of the sway bar end links. We're going to start by tightening up the top of the sway bar end link with a 15mm wrench. right in here, and a 16mm socket and ratchet on the top. Just snug it up, and then we'll move to the bottom. Then we'll take a 19mm wrench, slide it right over here, and an 18mm socket and ratchet for the bottom. Once it's tight, you'll want to repeat these steps on the opposite side. Next, we're going to tighten up all of the sway bar bushing bolts that we had loosened earlier in the job. These we should set to 45 foot-pounds. With the sway bar bushings torqued and the sway bar end links replaced, now you can lower the truck back down to the ground and you'll be all set for the road ahead.
Thanks for tuning in. We hope this video helped you out. Next time you need parts for your car, please visit 1aauto.com. Also check out our other helpful how-to as well as diagnosis videos.